So welcome everyone, and thanks for being here, for being a part of this class, part of this moment tonight. If anyone's still getting settled, or if your cat's still getting settled, or anything like that, that's fine. But as we start, let's just begin by bringing our attention into this moment. Okay, so you've probably done lots today, even if it's early for some of you. You've probably been busy, and even if you've only been up for an hour or so, your mind has probably been busy talking, thinking, wondering. Okay? So let's start by just pulling our attention out of that stream of thought, and just back into this body right now. We can start that by just going into the body with your awareness, and you might want to close your eyes. And just noticing what's happening in your body right now. What can you feel in your body right now? And please don't answer that in words. Just take your attention, your awareness inside, and just feel. Notice what sensations are there. Notice the movement as the breath comes and goes. And just relax into this moment. Do a scan of your body from the inside, and just notice where you're carrying some tension, where your body is a bit tight, a bit stressed right now. And wherever that might be, just take your attention there and just gently pay attention to that part of your body. So just feeling the in-breath, feeling the out-breath. And just noticing that sensation, or noticing that part of your body completely, and allowing it to be exactly as it is right now. Not changing a single thing. Just fully experiencing that. So let's get curious about what that tension feels like, because the mind will call it tension and then create a story around it. What caused it, what I need to do about it, past and future, past and future. So let's not even call it tension or stress or tightness. Just leave all those labels and go directly into that sensation that's arising now. Notice what it feels like. And notice it in as much detail as you can. So keep going deeper into that sensation with your awareness. Notice whether it's moving or still. Notice whether it's warm or cool or neutral. And see if it shifts and changes as you pay attention to it or not. So close your eyes and just go into that place in your body where you're holding that tension. And don't avoid any part of it. Just fully experience it. Completely allow it just for this instant. Only ever for this instant. And just allow your body to relax around that tension. We're not trying to relax it away. Just letting body just ride on the in-breath and the out-breath. And just letting it relax as much as it wants to when you breathe out. So we're not trying to have a particular result here. We're not trying to feel different in any way. All we're doing is using that physical sensation, that tension, to draw our attention out of thought, out of thinking, where we habitually get lost, and into the present moment, into what's happening now. So if the tension gets better or gets worse or stays the same, it doesn't matter. Just keep watching, feeling, experiencing that tension, that sensation on the in-breath. So let your body sink into this moment on the out-breath. And in between breaths, just check and make sure that you're still here. Your awareness is still here in the present moment, not lost in a thought. So just awareness, the body as it breathes in and breathes out, using that tension as an anchor point. And in between breaths, just check where your attention's focused. And gradually expand your awareness until you can feel your entire body. Just breathe in, breathe out. And sense your entire body from the inside. See if you can feel it. Feel every part without needing to look or move or open your eyes. And the feature of this way of being that we're experimenting with is that you're not thinking. Thoughts might be there, they might be coming and going, but your attention, your awareness is focused on the breath and the body. When you get lost in thought, though, which will happen from time to time, or maybe even faster, just come back to this breath. And just let your attention rest inside the body. Just leave thought alone for a while. You can always pick it up later. But just for this little while, let yourself rest in awareness feeling the breath and the body. When the mind jumps ahead, you get lost in that, just come back. This breath, feeling the body right now. There's nothing you need to do or achieve or get or change or become. Just be yourself and just drop all effort to become something else. And just enjoy this breath in, this breath out, and the experience of having this body right now. Let thought continue in the background as it will. But just keep drawing attention back to the breath, into the body, and just let all the words and pictures go. Notice how quiet the world becomes when we move attention away from thought. How peaceful and how problem-free this moment is. Whatever your mind says, everything is perfect now, just as it is. How could it be otherwise? And the only turmoil that we create, or that's created for us, comes when we lose ourselves in those thoughts. And as we stop feeding thought for a moment, for a few minutes, and just move attention to what is. you may notice that this I that's running the show the rest of the time just can't be found anymore. In fact, you might even notice that that I only exists in the thoughts themselves. When thought subsides, there's no separate one that we can point to. There's just awareness, and within that awareness, breath comes, body comes, thought comes. But in that space, I can't find Oli. I can't find me. Or not as this story-based person with a past and a future. There's just awareness of this moment. And all that arises within it. So as you follow the breath and feel your body, you might like to just ask yourself, or ask the question to no one in particular, who is aware of breath? Just introduce that question into your practice. Who is aware of breath? And just sit and allow the question to answer itself. It can't be answered through mind, through thought. But if you just let the question sit, it'll become clear. So we start by moving awareness away from thought into the body. And then as we become settled there, we can start to ask who it is that's watching all this that comes and goes. Because we can see that the breath comes and goes. The body sensations come and go. We know the body comes and goes too, though we might not like to admit it. And we definitely know that the thoughts come and go. They just flash on and flash off. But when you look deeply through this practice, you'll find that there's one element of experience that's unchanging and it's ever always there. So as you feel the breath, feel the body, notice that you're looking from that element, from that awareness. And just allow your attention to settle there, to settle on the breath and the body as that awareness. You might also want to notice the different experience of, or the difference between being caught up in thought, so what it feels like when you get lost in a daydream, and the experience of being anchored, being present right here and now. Remember, of course, that you can only be present for this breath. You can only experience this sensation. We can't change the past, it doesn't exist. And we can't predict the future, it doesn't exist. This is all there is, just this. So for the rest of this session, I suggest that you open your eyes and see if you can keep feeling the body from the inside. See if you can keep listening from that place of awareness. Okay. So as I speak, your mind is going to want to get involved and start analysing, comparing, contrasting, trying to figure out what's being said. And your mind's only interest is making what's happening now fit into its story. So this story of me that we all get to watch, or we get to get lost in as humans. This thing called past, this thing called future. And to the mind, the present moment is just in between past and future. It's another time period in some ways. But if we look into our actual experience, there is no past. And there's no future either. They don't exist. We can't find them. What we have is mental activity. So we have thoughts that we call memories. And when we refer to the past, we're actually talking about memories. So it happens in here. And when we refer to the future, we're talking about thoughts about an imagined future. It can only be imagination because it's not here. Even if I project 5 seconds into the future, I have no idea what's going to happen. It's imagination. So we have these two imaginations. The imagined past, which we could argue about. It did happen, didn't happen, it's here, it's not here. Let's just leave that. But there's this past and the imagined future. And so to the present moment, to the mind, the present moment is just the now part of time. But in this practice, we realize that there is no time. It just does not exist. Because if there's no past, there's no future, then there's no present either as a concept, as a thought, which is a bit mind-blowing, which is good. But there's the present as a concept, as an idea, can only exist in conjunction with past and future. Okay? So we call it the present moment, and that's fine. But we're actually just noticing reality. We're just noticing things or the world or our experience as it is. We use the word now because we're so conditioned to past and future. But as I speak, your mind is going to want to grab this and fit it into that story of past and future. And this the story of me. So that might be the story of I'm a mindfulness student and I'm getting better every day, and one day I'll get good at it and then I'll be happy. Or it might be the story of I'm a hopeless mindfulness student and everyone else is better than me. And I don't really understand what this guy's saying, but maybe I'll get there one day. It doesn't matter what the story is. we forget the content of the story. What we need to start to notice is this process of getting lost in the story. Okay? Because whenever you come back out of the story, whenever you return to just the breath, just the body, which you can stay with that now as I'm speaking, feel the breath, feel the body. Whenever you return to that, then all of that story just shifts to the background, and you can see almost that it's just a story. It doesn't exist, but it's a bunch of thoughts in our heads. So in this practice, we're not trying to change that story or fix it or even get rid of it. We're just taking attention away from it and moving it to what is, which is always right now. So tonight we focused on the breath and body, which are my favorite practices by far. But you can be walking around the streets and looking, really just looking, not labeling, thinking about what you see, all your awareness in the looking, or listening, or looking and listening. And the movement is the same, because we're moving attention out of thought and into what is. And that's where the enjoyment comes. The enjoyment isn't something that comes from something I say or some other state that you shift into through the practice. We're actually stepping out of imagination and into reality, into your actual world, your actual reality as it is right now. So we're leaving past and future behind. And what's so enjoyable is that there's nothing in the way of just experiencing your own self. And that's it. That's the whole thing. There's no magic. There's no magic here. There's no wisdom here either. I have zero wisdom, if that's what you're thinking. But I do notice that the more I move into that story, the more painful it is, the more confusing it is, the more stressful it is, and the more I move out of it and into the real world, the easier life is, and the more enjoyable it is. So that's all we're doing. It's not mysterious in any way, and it's not even spiritual, because that's another story. It's another thought. It's just, I don't know. We don't need a word, but it's just a shift in attention. So I'm wondering if anyone's got a question at this point, because I've hopefully baffled your mind enough to raise something up. And you can unmute yourself and speak, or you can you could type if you can find a chat thing. Maybe it's down the bottom of my screen on computer. I don't know for people on iPads where it sits, but anyone got a question or a comment? No, everyone's totally still. That's okay. So I'll say a couple more things, but feel free to jump in if you've got a question. So in some ways, we move out of imagination and into reality, we could say. And all my friends would say, well, that's not reality, because my reality is I've got this past and I've got this stuff to do and all of that stuff. Okay, that's what 99% of the human race would tell us. But if you look at it, that's the imagined bit. That's the bit that happens inside your head. So we move out of imagination into reality. Now, when that movement happens, then that's a good time to ask yourself these kind of who am I questions. Again, we don't need to get too deep and meaningful, but we can just be scientific about then asking, well, who is it that's watching all this? Who's experiencing all this? Who am I? Who is this thing that I am? Because all these thoughts and this story are reinforced by the central idea that I'm Oli and I'm this person and I was born in, whenever I was born, and I've had these experiences and I'm this type of person, and then in the future I hope that, we all know the fairy tale. I just need one more thing. I just need the right job. I just need when I get that, then I'll be happy. Now, of course you won't, but then I won't either. So all the other thoughts kind of revolve around this central mass of some of the Indian guys call it this I amness, this I am. And so that's so ingrained in us and been so culturally reinforced forever. So you're, especially us Westerners, that you're an individual and that's important, and you got to take responsibility and you got to have opinions and all that kind of stuff. All that's fine, okay. But this sense of self-image is so reinforced that we don't even look at it. We don't even question it because it's so sacred and it's so, it's who I am. It's my identity. But the word self-image, or the term self-image, is instructive in some ways. We have, and based on all this experience and these thoughts that came after the experience, we have an image of the self, image of who I think I am. So it's almost like a picture in your mind of the type of person you are. Now, most people would have no interest in exploring that or looking at that, because it just seems so clear that that's them. But when we shift into reality, it's a good chance to start to look for this self-image, this one that you and I have believed ourselves to be our whole lives, and start to see if we can find it. Because all the other thoughts hinge off that. So as you move inside, then just gently ask those questions, those who am I kind of questions. But the best way I've found is to just ask the question and then just sit with it. Don't, because the mind will want to answer it, but just ask the question and then look for the answer in your experience. Because when you look and when you see that there's nothing solid there, then this self-image will start to dissolve slowly, will start to lose its hard edges, and then all the other thinking that revolves around that becomes easier to deal with, becomes less troublesome, let's say. Because we don't have to work so hard to protect this and enhance this self-image. We can just, we start to know ourselves as something else, know ourselves as this awareness, which sounds crazy, but it's not. It's nothing special. Now, as you start to know yourself as that awareness and experience that yourself as that awareness, as we kind of played with a little bit tonight, then how can I put it? It's almost like you have a new identity, but it's not like the old one. It's not like I'm a separate person in this world. It's like this awareness is clearly what I am, but I also am living as this, through this person, which has this name and this job and all that kind of stuff. And all that practical stuff is no problem. It's not like you won't forget your name or how to brush your teeth or anything like that. Okay? But as you move into reality and you move into your inner world, it's the only chance you'll get to really find out who you are, find out what's true. And no one else in the world, no one else in your life will probably encourage you to do that, because they're so hooked up in their own self-image, their own story. And we don't need to point that out to them either, by the way. We can just let them do their own thing. So, is there any questions about that? Because that's pretty, well, it sounds deep or it sounds a bit crazy, but you'll be fine. Questions, comments? No. It all makes perfect sense to everyone. Were you just humouring me, probably? I want to read a little something that I read just before class. Okay, so this is from this book, which just message me if you're interested. I'll send you a link. It's pretty cool. You can spend an eternity looking elsewhere for truth and love, intelligence and goodwill, and imploring God and human beings, all in vain. You must begin in yourself, with yourself. This is the inexorable law. You cannot change the image without changing the face. First realize that your world is only a reflection of yourself, and stop finding fault with the reflection. Attend to yourself, set yourself right mentally and emotionally. The physically will follow. There's another bit I wanted to share. It is neither necessary nor possible to change others. But if you can change yourself, you'll find that no other change is needed. To change the picture, you merely change the film. You do not attack the cinema screen. Clarify your mind, purify your heart. This is the quickest way to a change of your world. So this is what we're talking about, really. I've got a question. Okay. So Kim's asked, I'm here, but my mind is trying to understand the concept. Yep. I struggle to stop the thoughts. Before my eyes open in the morning, my mind is full of thoughts. Any suggestions, please? And this is normal. This is common experience. As soon as, or even before the eyes open, but as soon as there's awareness, as soon as the mind, the body wakes up, the thoughts come. My experience is the same. So it's interesting. I struggle to stop the thoughts. So this is what we're talking about, this I. So the I, the self-image, this one that we imagine ourselves to be, struggling to stop the thoughts. So who is this I? Well, the I that struggles to stop the thoughts is the mind, we could say, or it's the thoughts themselves. So you watch this in yourself. If you try to block thoughts out, what happens is a thought comes that says, I'm not going to think anymore. I'm going to stop thinking. I'm going to stop thinking so much. And then another thought comes, and then the thoughts go to war with each other. And we are so totally lost in what's happening that we don't see it. So when I say we, I mean this awareness that you are, this consciousness that you are. So if there's a struggle to stop the thoughts, the first thing is stop the struggle. So how do we stop the struggle? Well, you just let the struggle be, let the thoughts be, let as many thoughts as want to come, let them come, because they'll come anyway. But we don't have to pander to them. We can practice, and this is what we're doing tonight, withdrawing attention from that stream of thinking and placing it on the body, on the breath. Okay? So you might still regularly get carried away with those thoughts, but just keep coming back, and coming back, and coming back. Attention is energy. So every time you withdraw some energy and place it in the body, in the breath, then that thought stream is losing some power and this awareness is gaining power. Okay? It's not a fight, so it's not good terminology, but you're strengthening that ability within yourself. So be thankful that you're aware that your mind is full of thoughts, for starters, because most people don't notice that they're thinking all day. They're not aware of it at all. They believe that this is just this is me, this is my inner voice. It's not your inner voice, it's just thought. It doesn't belong to anyone. So be thankful that you can notice, that you're aware that the thoughts are there. And there's no need to struggle with them. There's no need to struggle with them. Just keep shifting attention back and back and back. Thought always wants to pull your attention out here. You see people, eyes glaze over, and they're... So we want to take a step back into here. Just keep coming back and coming back and coming back. If you do this regularly, daily if you can, for 15, 20 minutes, when, the world's pretty quiet, and then keep practicing it and trying to come back to that as you go through your day, you'll notice change happen, pretty steadily. So the first step is noticing that there's a lot of thoughts there. That's actually the first step. So that's good. The next step is the thoughts will be there, but they won't bother you so much. And as they stop bothering you so much, you'll stop giving them so much attention, and they'll start to subside and subside and subside. And as they subside, then thought becomes helpful, creative, useful, and not so stressful anymore most of the time. And that's about where I'm at, so I can't kind of talk beyond that. But so the two things, be thankful. Three things: be thankful that you're aware of it. Let the struggle be. Keep pulling attention back into the breath, into the body. And just from there, watch and just let that struggle happen. Let the thoughts happen. They're there anyway. But you're watching from a different place. It will feel different. And you will get lost over and over, and that's fine. Just keep coming back. Keep at it. I hope that's helpful. So Kim says, hooray, I've covered step 1. Now to keep practicing pulling attention back. That's it. Yeah. It's always just this though. Other questions, comments before we finish up? Looks pretty peaceful everywhere, so that's good. Some sunlight in some places, dark in others. All places in the world covered. Oh, another question. Is it common when concentrating on your breath, on your breathing, to start falling asleep? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Our minds are usually either going flat out or we're asleep. So as soon as you start to shift out of that stream of thinking, your body's going to relax. You're going to start to get sleepy. So, around the world in all kinds of temples where people practice meditation, they have lots of ways of trying to keep them awake, help them stay awake. And we're no different. So, it's a good one to finish on is doing this practice when you're going to sleep each night. It's a really nice way to go to sleep. But you might find as well that you wake up in a different kind of space in the morning. And it can be really helpful to your practice to just follow the breath and stay aware of the body as you're going to sleep. No need to try and stay awake, just let sleep come. And when you're practicing, during the day and trying not to fall asleep, A little bit of, if you're falling asleep, a bit of walking meditation can be good. Just slow walk around the room. Bring awareness to every step. Keep following your breath. Or have a nap. That's good too. I do that sometimes. It's all good. Thanks, Kim. Thank you too. Thanks, everyone. And I think I'm connected to most of you through Facebook or email or whatever. So if you've got questions that you wanted to ask outside of the group, feel free to send them through. And otherwise, this is a simple little meeting, but it's huge what's happening here. So don't underestimate the power of this simple, incredibly simple stuff and the importance of what you're doing or what's happening. We're not doing it, it's just happening. So thank you all. Keep in touch, and there is no future, but I'm planning to be back next week, same time. So I'd love to have you along again. Thanks all, and sleep well if you're in Australia. Enjoy your day if you're somewhere else. And just remember that it's always now, and even that doesn't exist.